we saw how Arjuna recalls the Smrithis, interprets them, and asserts that one who destroys his race is the greatest sinner. In the last 10 shlokas of chapter 1, that is from the 37th to the 47th shlokas, Arjuna argues that killing of Swajanam is inappropriate and the consequences of kula nasham, that is destroying one's own kula, will be disastrous to all. So let us go to the 37th sloka. Tasman narha vayam hantum dhartarashtran swabandhavan swajanam hi katam hatva sukhinah syama madhava. Tasmat, therefore. Earlier Arjuna has been telling so many things. He's been talking about his physical state, and he says that I am seeing viparitani nimittani, I am seeing all evil omens, I am sensing danger, and accordingly my physical body is also undergoing many changes. Arjuna also recalls the Smrithis, and he comes to a conclusion that that person who destroys his own race is the greatest sinner. So based on all this, Tasmat, conclusively, Arjuna tells, Swabandhavan Dhartrashtran Vayam Hantum Na Arha. Swabandhavan, our own relatives. Who are those our own relatives? Dhartrashtran, Dhritarashtra's sons, because they are only cousin brothers. Vayam Hantum Na Arha. It is not appropriate for us to kill our own relatives that who are Dhartrashtran. So Arha literally means, in Tamil you say Arugadai, which means one who is qualified, eligible. But here what Arjuna is trying to tell us, it's not appropriate for us to kill our own relatives. It does not behove us to kill our own relations, the sons of Dhritarashtra. Swajanam hi katam hatva sukhinah syama madhava. By killing our own relatives, swajanam hi hatva katam sukhinah syama, how do we get happiness by killing our own relatives? Yadyapyetena pashyanti lobopahata chetasah kulakshaya kritam dosham mitradrohe chapatakam katam nanyeyam asmabihi papadasman nivartitum kulakshaya kritam dosham prapashyadbihi janardana. O Janardana, protector of people, yadyapi yetena pashyanti, yete lobopahata chetasaha yadyapi na pashyanti. So yete lobopahata chetasaha, this refers to Dhartrashtran. Loba upahata chetasaha. Loba is greed, upahata is driven, chetasaha is mind or consciousness. So these Dhartrashtran, their mind is full of greed. Therefore, na pashyanti, they do not see kulakshaya kritam dosham mitra drohe cha patakam. They do not see the dosham, that is the adverse consequences of kulakshaya kritam, destroying your own clan. Mitra drohe cha patakam, doing treason to friends. They do not see the adverse consequences of destroying your own kula and doing treason to friends. Why? Because they are driven by extreme level of greed. So even though they are not aware of the consequences, kulakshaya kritam dosham prapashyad bihi, we who are very well able to see the adverse consequences of destroying our own kula, when that be the case, they are not aware, but we are aware. So a person who is aware has greater responsibility. So Arjuna is asking, katam na nyayam papad nivartitum. Nyayam is consider. So why should we not consider papat nivartitum? Why should we not consider desisting from these, from committing this sin? Why should we not consider ways of keeping away from these sins? So even though they are not aware, so therefore they are going ahead with the battle. But we who are aware, we have greater responsibility. So why should we not consider desisting from committing this sin? Kulakshaye pranashyanti kuladharma sanatanaha dharme nashte kulam kritsnam dharmo abhibhavatyuta. So now Arjuna is telling what are all the adverse consequences of destroying one's own race. And he goes on and on, like one leading to the other, like that, there is a chain of adverse consequences. Kulakshaye pranashyanti. What happens if the kula pranashyanti gets destroyed? Sanatanaha kuladharmaha pranashyanti. Sanatanaha, age-old, traditional, Kuladharmaha, the moral principles, the values that people of a particular kula, of a particular race, they uphold. So all those Kuladharmaha pranashyanti, they all get destroyed. Dharme nashte kulam kritsnam. Now what happens if the Kuladharma gets destroyed? Adharmaha abhibhavat yuta. So adharma spreads. If the dharma goes, if kula dharma gets destroyed, then there is a vacuum and adharma fills that vacuum. Adharma spreads, it becomes rampant. Adharma bibhavat Krishna pradushyanti kulastriyah srishu dushtasu varshneya jayate varna sankaraha. Now, adharma bibhavat Krishna. Oh Krishna, what happens if adharma if adharma spreads, what happens? So with the preponderance of vice, with the spreading of adharma, what happens? Pradushyanti kulastriyah. The women of the race, pradushyanti, they get polluted, which means they become characterless, they become promiscuous. Srishu dushtasu. If the women become characterless, if they become dushtas, then oh Varshneya. Now Arjuna is addressing Krishna as Varshneya because Krishna comes from the Vrishni clan, Vrishni Kula. Therefore, he is calling him Varshneya. Very appropriate for him to address Krishna as Varshneya because he is talking about Kulakshaya Dosham. What are all the adverse consequences of destroying one's own Kula? So, Varna Sankaraha Jayate. So, if women become characterless, then Varna Sankaraha. Shankaraha means getting mixed. So, Varna Sankaraha, between Varnas, marriages happen. So, therefore, everything gets mixed. Shankaro narakayaiva kulagnanam kulasya cha patanti pitaro hyesham lupta pindota kakriyaha. Now, Shankaro Narakayaiva. Now, what happens if this kind of Varna Sankaraha happens? That is marriages between the Varnas. Then Narakayaiva. Kulagnanam Kulasya cha Narakayaiva. For both the Kula and for the person who destroys the Kula, there is a very hellish situation. Patanti Pitaraha Hyesham. The ancestors who reside in the Pitruloka, they also fall. Why? Because Lupta Pindotaka Kriyaha. Lupta is disappear. Pinda Udaka Kriya. When the practice of doing Shraddha involves offering Pinda, that is rice balls, and Udaka Kriya, that is Tilatarpana, that is offering sesame seeds and water. So, the practice of doing Shraddha disappears. Because Shraddha is not done, the ancestors who reside in the Pitruloka, they also fall. So, if Varna Sankaraha happens, obviously, then, you're not going to have elders, the youngsters of the generation, they are not going to do Shraddha. Maybe one or two here and there, some elders may tell that these practices need to be followed. But even if they were to tell, then people are going to make fun of them. No one is going to listen to them. So, therefore, Shraddha is not done and therefore the ancestors also fall. Doshaire kulagnanam varna sankara karakaihi utsadyante jati dharma kula dharmascha shashvatah. So, when this Varna Sankara, this Varna Sankara happens, Varna Sankara karakaihi dosharetaihi. So, because this, the destroyer of Kula and the Varna Sankara karakaihi, the people, who marry between Varnas, because of that dosha, what happens is, Shashvataha Kuladharmaha cha Jati Dharmaha Utsadyante. Shashvataha, traditionally, the Kuladharma and the Jati Dharma that people have been practicing traditionally, Utsadyante, they all get destroyed. So, Kuladharma, the moral principles, the values that the people of the community uphold. Jati Dharma, the Dharma that people belonging to a particular Varna, they practice. So, when they all get destroyed because of this Varna Sankara. Utsanna Kuladharmana Manushyanam Janardana Narake Niyatam Vaso Bhavati Tyanushrama. So, O Janardana, protector of people, Kuladharmanam Utsanna, when the Kuladharma gets destroyed, Manushyanam Narake Aniyatam Vasaha Bhavati. So, if the Kuladharma gets destroyed, then the people, Manushyana, the people who do not practice the Kuladharma and Jati Dharma, they get assigned to Narakaloka. The Vasaha is residence. So their residence is in Narakaloka. Anushruma. Shushruma means we have heard. Anushruma means we have been hearing from other people that those who do not practice Kuladharma and Jati Dharma, they get assigned to Narakaloka for Aniyatam. Aniyatam Vasaha. Niyatam means definite. Aniyatam Vasaha means for indefinite period they live in Narakaloka. Aho batamahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam yadrajya sukalobena hantum swajana mudyataha. Aho, now Arjuna is explaining, aho batamahat papam, what a pity. Mahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam. Vayam we have become ready to do this mahat papam. He is exclaiming what a pity, because we are aware that destroying our own kula brings the greatest sin. In spite of that, what a pity we have become ready to do this mahat papam. Yadrajya sukalobena hantum swajana mudyataha. Swajana mudyataha. We have become intent on killing our own swajanam because of Rajya Sukalobena, because we are driven by the greed of Rajya Sukam. Yadi mama pratikaram ashastram shastrapanayah dhartarashtrarane hanyustanme kshemataram bhavet. So now Arjuna is telling, shastrapanayah dhartarashtra rane hanyuhu tat me kshemataram bhavet. And he is also telling, yadi mam apratikaram ashastram. That is, yadi, if I apratikaram, I am not responding, I am unresisting. Even if the opponent attacks, I do not attack, which means I am not fighting. Ashastram, I remain weaponless I do not have weapons in my hand in the battle. And shastrapanayah dhartarashtraha, the Dhritarashtra's sons who have weapons in their hand, Rane Hanyuhu, if they kill me in the battle, in the battle, Tat me kshemataram bhavet. That is a better situation for me. So just you have comparative, superlative. So by adding the suffix tara and tama, kshematamam is superlative. That is the best option. But here he is telling kshemataram in comparative. So he is telling this is a better option for me. So what are the options he has? One option is where he fights this battle and he kills his opponents. That is, he kills his own relatives, which means he is doing kula nasha. The other option is where he is weaponless, he is unresisting, and shastrapanayah dhartarashtra, they kill him in the battle. So he is telling that is a better option for me. Sanjaya uvacha eva muktvarjunah sankye sratopasta upavishat visrujya sasharam chapam shoka samvigna manasah. So shoka samvigna manasah Arjunah eva muktva sankye visrujya sasharam chapam ratopasta upavishat. So shoka samvigna manasah. Now this is the last word of the last shloka of chapter 1. Chapter 1, which is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga, which talks about the how the despondency of Arjuna. Now the last word of this chapter is Shoka Samvigna Manasaha, which is a compound word which tells that Arjuna, whose mind was full of grief, his mind was totally agitated. So this aptly describes Arjuna's state of mind. So Shoka Samvigna Manasaha Arjuna eva muktva, having said all that. So in the last few shlokas he has been giving so many reasons for not fighting this battle. So having said that, Sankye, in the battlefield, Visrujya Sasharam Chapam, he puts aside his bow and arrow, and Ratopasta Upavishad, in the hinter of the chariot he sits. which means he is seated in the hinter of the chariot. He is resigned, and he kind of signals that he is not ready to fight. So Arjuna, in the last few shlokas, we find that he elaborately justifies his stand of not fighting this battle. And Arjuna talks extensively about Varna Shankaraha, that is marriages between Varnas. But we find that in the case of Pandavas also, you have had a few marriages between Varnas. Shantanu, for instance, married Satyavati, a fisherwoman. Bhima married Hidumbi, and Vidura was born to a maid and Vyasa. So there have been some marriages between Varnas among the Pandavas also. But Arjuna is, it seems to be blinded by compassion, and he totally forgets the dharma of his Kshatriya Varna. Even though he talks so much about Jati Dharma, Kula Dharma, he forgets his Kshatriya Dharma. The dharma of a Kshatriya is to punish the wrongdoers so that the damage to the society is minimized. So we find that at the end of the first chapter, a totally confused Arjuna, that is Shoka Samvigna Manasaha Arjuna, he kind of resigns and he signals that he is not ready to fight. Now at the end of every chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you have a Pushpika, which is the concluding verse of the Adhyaya. Om Tatsat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Shri Arjuna Vishada Yogo Nama Pratamodhyaya. By overcoming the deficiencies, let the study of Gita give all of us lasting benefits. Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Now this is called Srimad Bhagavad Gita because it's given by the Lord himself, who is opulent in beauty, wealth, that is wealth, Aishwaryam, Balam, and then Kirti, fame, Jnanam, knowledge, and Vairagyam, that is renunciation. So because it's given by the Lord himself, it is called Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And it's called Upanishad because the essence of the Upanishad has been given to us in the form of Bhagavad Gita by the Lord himself. And it's called Brahma Vidya because it teaches us the ultimate truth of realizing the Brahman. And it also gives us the Advaita philosophy. And it is called Yoga Shastra because it teaches us the 4 yogas: Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. So with this, the Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade, that is Bhagavad Gita, is presented to us as the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna progresses. So with this, the first chapter, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, comes to an end.